Hi, welcome to Ray at the Movies, and welcome to my 25 Days of Christmas series. I'm sorry, I'm trying to adjust this a little bit. And today's movie is Gremlins. Now, Gremlins is one of my favorite movies to watch, and yes, it is a Christmas movie. It takes place during the holiday season. And how I got to see this movie was through my dad. We had a movie, I don't know if we had HBO or Showtime. You used to get the small little guide that used to tell you it had HBO, Cinemax, and the movie channel, and Showtime, of course. And you would just look in to see when the movie was coming out, what time, and everything. And my dad would look at the guide and decide he was going to watch Gremlins first before we got to. So I had no idea he cut stuff out of the movie that he felt was a little too violent for us to watch. And this movie was such a favorite movie of mine, a staple of mine, that I used to watch the movie every other day. That's how much I really liked the movie. It's a fun movie, it really is. And I'm here to go into the review, the cast. Let's go into let me go into, first of all, when the movie came out. Okay, here's my phone, sorry. Alright, so let's go into it. Okay. Okay, the movie came out June 8th, 1984, and the cast is Hoyt Axton. He was in The Black Stallion Returns, Endangered Species, King Cobra. I never knew he was in that one. That's a direct-to-video movie, and I have to check that out to see if he was in that. Corey Feldman, The Fox and the Hound, Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter, The Goonies, Stand By Me, Zach Elegant, Waxwork 1 and 2, Gremlins 2, The New Batch, Warlock the Armageddon, Cyborg 3, The Recycler, Dick Miller, Gremlins 2, The New Batch, Explorers, Tales of the Crypt, Demon Knight, Chopping Mall, Phoebe Cates, Drop Dead Fred, Gremlins 2, The New Batch, Heart of Dixie, Shag, Francis Lee McCain, Footloose, Back to the Future, Stand By Me, Scream, Jonathan Banks, Beverly Hills Cop, 48 Hours, Wise Guy, the TV series, Free Jack, Jackie Joseph, The Little Shop of Horrors, the original 1960s version, not the remake, Gremlins 2, The New Batch, Alice Through the Looking Glass TV movie, Small Soldiers, Judge Reinhardt, Beverly Hills Cop 1 through 4, The Fast Times at Richmond High, The Santa Claus 1 through 3, Ruthless People, Howie McDowell, Little Monsters, Gremlins 2, The New Batch, Bobby's World TV show, Pinocchio 3000, Frank Walker, The Transformers, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You, The Littles, Inspector Gadget TV series, The Jetsons. Now these were all cartoon shows, just to let you know. He was a voice actor. Peter Gullen, Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo, Transformers, Heathcliff and the Cadillac Cats, Voltron, Defender of the Universe, Glenn Turman, Cooley High, JD's Revenge, Deep Cover, A Different World TV series, directed by Joe Dante, Piranha, The Howling Explorers, Inner Space, written by Christopher Columbus, The Goonies, Young Sherlock Holmes, Heartbreak Hotel, Little Nemo, Adventures of Slumberland, music by Jerry Goldsmith, Outland, Supergirl, The Secret in Him, The Twilight Zone, the movie. Now let's get into the trivia, shall we? I love this. I'm just in a good mood today. The set of Kingston Falls is the same one used for Back to the Future. Both movies were filmed on the Universal Studios backlot. Originally, Stripe and Gizmo were the same character. This changed when executive producer Steven Spielberg insisted one of the Gremlins be a good guy with whom the audience could identify. Director Joe Dante expresses that this decision was the reason why the film is fondly remembered, and it is. It is. The Santa speech proved to be controversial, and studio executives insisted upon its removal because they felt it was too ambiguous as to whether it was supposed to be funny or sad. Director Joe Dante, however, stubbornly refused to take the scene out, saying it represented this movie as a whole, which had a combination of horrific and comedic elements. Executive producer Steven Spielberg did not like the scene, but despite his creative control, he viewed this movie as Dante's project and allowed him to leave it in. An earlier attempt to have monkeys play the Gremlins was abandoned because the test monkey panicked when made to wear a gremlin's head. One of the studio notes to director Joe Dante and executive producer Steven Spielberg on seeing the first cut was that there was too many gremlins. Steven Spielberg suggested cutting them all out and calling the movie People. That's good. The film was released on the same day as Ghostbusters. Little to no actual dialogue for Gremlins and Mogwai existed in the script, in addition to several instances of the on-set rewrites changing or adding to much of the script. The voiceovers were mostly ad-libs, repeating snippets of just performed dialogue or reaction to other sound effects or environment. To this end, Howie McDowell recorded Gizmo's lines phonologically for foreign dubs of the movie, where localized dialogue and in-jokes helped make this movie successful in audience worldwide. At least one of Phoebe Cates' screams in the scene at Derry's Tavern is genuine. An enormous cockroach crawled out in front of her during one take. The Gizmo puppets were practically frustrating because they were smaller and thus broke down more constantly. To satisfy the crew, a scene was included in which the Gremlins hang Gizmo on a wall and throw darts at him. This was included on the list that the crew created, known to them as the horrible things to do to Gizmo list. Wow, I didn't. Christopher Columbus' script went through a few drafts before a shooting script was finalized. His original version had the Gremlins killing the dog and cutting off the mom's head and tossing it down the stairs. These elements were never shot due to the fact that Joe Dante and Warner Brothers wanted the movie to be more family-oriented. Yeah, I think that was a good call. Executive producer Steven Spielberg had a great working relationship with the screenwriter Chris Columbus on this movie and produced the next two movies Christopher Columbus scripted: The Goonies, based on an idea Steven Spielberg had, and Young Sherlock Holmes, which was Columbus's idea. Altogether, 3 years were spent. This movie and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom are credited with inspiring the MPAA to create the PG-13 rating. Many felt that the movie were too violent for a PG rating, but not violent enough for an R. After watching Tim Burton's earlier short films, executive producer Steven Spielberg considered him to direct this movie. He declined against it, however, because at the time Burton had never directed a full-length movie. One of the reasons for the no bright lights rule was that in 1984, director Joe Dante and Evelyn could not completely navigate the perilous waters of special effects for the Gremlins puppets that well. By keeping them in the dark, this camouflaged this problem. This is the old sci-fi trick. Dante did the same thing with the trickery and lumpy practical effects for The Howling. 3 years earlier, they kept the monsters in the dark to hide special effect problems. Originally planned and scheduled for a Christmas release, this movie was rushed into production shortly after Warner Brothers found out it had no major competition against Paramount's Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom or Columbia's Ghostbusters for the summer movie season. That kind of makes sense why they released it. Here's the story. A gadget salesman is looking for a special gift for his son and finds one at a store in Chinatown. The storekeeper is reluctant to sell him the Mogwai, but sells it to him with the warning to never expose him to bright lights, water, or to feed him after midnight. All of this happens, and the result is a gang of gremlins that decide to tear up the town on Christmas Eve. The story follows a young man, Billy Pulitzer, who receives a strange creature as a pet, which then spawns other creatures that transform into aggressive, imp-like monsters that wreak havoc on Billy's town during Christmas Eve. I really like this movie. I love the whole premise, too. What I like is the father who gives him the gift is an inventor. Not a very good inventor. So throughout the whole movie, you see this unfold where he's always trying to fix his inventions because they don't work. He's like on the road, and as he's trying to get home, he sells this guy this ashtray that doesn't work, and it's just crazy. I really like this film. It's a fun film, and yes, it's a Christmas movie. As you can see in the trivia, So, I give this movie 5 out of 5. I even like the sequel, Gremlins, The New Batch. Now, sadly, they never did do another movie because the second one wasn't as well received. I like it. I like it for what it was. It's a fun movie that makes fun of a lot of things. So, I highly recommend this movie to anybody. And it's a perfect Christmas movie. And yeah, it is true that this caused them to change the ratings to PG-13. I know because I went to see Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and I remember that heart scene, and my mom taking me and my sister out of the theaters. Now, I don't know if we ever went back in and finished the movie. I don't remember. But I know that she took us out once that scene happened. So I might have not been able to watch it until it came out on TV. And it wasn't, of course, until years later that I found out about the Gremlins scenes being cut out of the movie when I rented the movie myself to watch it again and go, oh wow, I don't remember this. And then my dad said, yeah, he cut the scenes out. He felt they were a little too violent. And I kind of, looking back, yeah, they are. And it's a perfect reason for PG-13. Because it doesn't go too far for an R rating. So it's kind of in between. I'm a big fan of Corey Haim more than Corey Feldman. I have nothing against Corey Feldman, but I like a lot of Corey Haim's movies more. And I also like when they're together. They were really a great match. So with that, I'm out of here, and I hope that you have a good rest of your day. God bless. Bye.